Good evening, this is the Oscar Expert here with Brother Bro. The Licorice Pizza trailer is out. This is the newest Paul Thomas Anderson film coming out November 26th, limited release date. And we're hyped because PTA is one of our favorite directors. PTA is one of almost everybody's favorite directors, to be honest.
From The Master to Inherent Vice to Phantom Thread, we haven't really known whether to expect an Oscar contender or him to go bolder than ever or him to be completely perplexing. But this looks like his most accessible movie, maybe since Boogie Nights.
I think it looks like his sweetest movie since at least Punch Drunk Love. I mean, after There Will Be Blood, a lot of those movies were kind of more cold and calculating. Not that there wasn't like heart and humanity in those movies, but the movie is more reminiscent of Punch Drunk Love and Boogie Nights and Magnolia than it is his four latest films. I mean, maybe there's a little Inherent Vice in there, sure. And we don't really expect PTA to be a director who goes back. We haven't really seen him do that. Obviously, I'm expecting some ways in which it'll feel like he's still moving forward. I don't think he's rehashing anything. But what we have here is a coming-of-age film set in LA in the 70s, starring Cooper Hoffman, the son of Philip Seymour Hoffman, his first film role, and Alana Haim of the band Haim, her first film role. And it looks like they're both co-leads from the trailer. I did not know Alana Haim was going to have that big of a role, but her name comes up before Cooper Hoffman's on the cast list, and that might even mean that she's bigger.
This movie reminds me the most of Almost Famous. It has a nostalgic aesthetic. The central relationship in the film seems kind of unusual, but really poignant. It's really clear what the film is about at the core. I'm really fascinated by the character Alana Haim is playing because she seems like, at least based on this protagonist perception, that she's very multifaceted. He's perceiving her as being in love with him many times, and then other times he might be like, oh, where is she? Where did she go? It looked like she loved me one moment and the next she doesn't. That seems kind of accurate to how early crushes develop, because you lose your sense of reality when you have those rose-colored glasses on. That's just my speculation as to what the film might be really going for. I could see there being a lot of heart in that story and really winning people over.
I don't think it's going to be like from his perspective the whole time.
Yeah, it may or may not be from his perspective. Maybe it's a lot about Alana Haim's perspective as well.
This looks like a movie I could even end up recommending to my parents, which I would not have said about many of PTA's recent works. There's so much heart in this trailer. I think a lot of people are going to be moved by it in itself, and the movie, we have to assume, is going to be at least as poignant. I'm excited to see what PTA has to offer this story on a deeper level, because in every one of his movies we can expect that he's examining relationships and human behavior, and it looks like he's wearing his heart on his sleeve for this one, which I'm really into.
I could see some people thinking this looks more slight. It's not as self-serious as something like The Master or maybe There Will Be Blood. It has a bit of rom-com in it, so it's not like a dark and serious brooding drama. Maybe this won't even please like the most diehard PTA fans. But that being said, it does look like it'll appeal to a wider audience, and this helps its Oscar chances, of course.
Yeah, I mean, if this ends up being really easy to love and ends up being one of people's favorites of the year, then it's easily a big contender. Maybe it does end up being a movie that people feel is more slight in his filmography, but that sounds a little strange for a director like Paul Thomas Anderson, who spends so long crafting each one of his movies. I mean, even Inherent Vice, which I'm not really a fan of, like, I'm not going to deny that that movie's really going for something.
I get why people would say that, but I really don't think this will be that. It's gonna have its fans. It's gonna have people who are seeing the brilliance come through. I mean, maybe this will surprise us and it will leave us hanging in a way we don't expect it to.
And although it's a coming-of-age film, this kind of movie is not unprecedented to see at the Oscars. I mean, there's American Graffiti, there's Almost Famous, even Lady Bird. All these movies have like that sort of nostalgic tinge to them. The other thing that's kind of baity about it is that it's about Hollywood in the 70s, and some of the characters are involved in the film industry. So, I mean, there you go. Can this movie get him his Oscar that he is still not yet won? I think the Screenplay Award looks more likely for this one than director.
For a win.
I agree. Yeah.
But it's competing with Belfast, which is the front runner to beat right now. And if that movie wins Best Picture, it'd be weird if I didn't get Screenplay, because I don't even know what else it's going to win. This movie does seem destined for Oscar success, whether that's just nominations in picture, director, screenplay. It really does look like we're going to get that. He's just not going to miss with a film like this in a big enough way.
I'm not going to say it's impossible the movie gets like a high 70 on Metacritic.
That would still get nominated for Best Picture.
Or maybe it gets Punch Drunk Love reviews. I don't know what to tell you. The other thing is, could the actors get nominated? Because I don't really think Cooper Hoffman or Alana Haim have shots at lead. You know, a lot of people were predicting Bradley Cooper to be in the winning conversation. Is he that big here? We can't tell. Maybe he's only in a couple scenes. I mean, the ordering of the cast list, which could be the billing order on the poster and the trailer, Bradley Cooper is underneath Sean Penn and Tom Waits.
Bradley Cooper might not be big in this. I think there's been buzz from people saying exactly that.
So here's what I'm saying. If the movie can only get picture, screenplay, and director, and there's no acting nominations in there, I mean, I don't know if that's strong enough for a Best Picture frontrunner status.
Oh yeah, for nominations. That's interesting.
Also, editing, I feel like it would only get editing if it was a top tier
but
contender.
it could.
It's not going to get score because it's probably going to use a lot of soundtrack. Johnny Greenwood's already being nominated for a couple different movies, perhaps. Paul Thomas Anderson didn't even list himself as a cinematographer, so it won't even be able to be nominated.
Well, what about production design and costumes? Because we've known
so.
The last two films have been nominated for costumes that he's done.
Maybe costumes, but I don't really know. It doesn't look like it's his most like meticulous production yet.
Yeah, it looks harder to nominate in those categories. When you put it that way, given that maybe it gets like 4 nominations, that would be really hard for it to win on 4 nominations if you include editing.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
They've done weirder stuff in supporting. Like, they could still nominate Bradley Cooper even if he's not that big.
Well, what if Sean Penn is like the bigger deal?
No.
He's listed
Sean
first.
Penn,
People don't
no
like
one
him.
likes him.
Even if Cooper gets in, the nomination tally ain't going to be too high for it if you think about it that way.
6 nominations can win you Best Picture, though. If it gets 5 or 6, then it's not in that deep of water.
I guess.
But Belfast is looking at more nominations than that for sure. We haven't seen a big pattern of directors breaking into the Oscars late in their career.
Oh, you mean like an overdue narrative for a filmmaker helping to prevail that movie in Best Picture, a la The Departed or No Country for Old Men?
Yeah.
I agree. That hasn't really happened in a while.
Yeah, they usually
Even-
just go
even-
for like the more pleasing new movie.
I am, as much as anybody else, looking for a potential upset to Belfast. I want to be sold on Licorice Pizza being it. I'm not sold on that necessarily, but it's also my most anticipated movie for the rest of the year, easily. I couldn't be looking forward to the movie more, and the trailer has got me super pumped.
I would definitely have this in my top 5, though. It's going to be a hard one for the Oscars to miss.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing.
What do you think Licorice Pizza is a metaphor for?